and welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I'm Nick McDaniel. He's Myron Fancher. How the heck are you, buddy?
Well, I've been better. I probably should have tested my cough button before we started the show. Got sick and I'm worn out for my new job. Jesus. Uh, somebody has to cut all those boards in half for hacksaw Duggan. Uh, mm. But since I've been so ill, I've been watching and listening to our podcast. Watched you with QT Marshall yesterday, and where do we find these fine vignettes, Nick?
Well, man, look, first and foremost, it's right on over on our YouTube channel. And by the way, I know a lot of people asked this week, yeah, I could not have made this any simpler. TappedOutPod.com now directly points you to our YouTube channel. That's simple. TappedOutPod.com. What do we tell you? Tapped Out Pod, anything will take you basically to any platform of anything that we're on, it feels like, right, Myron? But you can get that show, by the way, also on our patreon.com/TappedOutPod. You can, because you would have gotten that thing early, whether you were a member on YouTube or you were a member on Patreon. You would have gotten it earlier, but it obviously, we're recording on Wednesday, and it actually released today. So that was kind of cool. But I think I gave it about a day and a half, 2 days early, roughly, if you were a member. So that's why you always want to be a member, signed up on one of those two platforms. It was not available on the podcast platform. I did get that question from a few people. I've told everybody, look, a lot of the content's going to be YouTube, Patreon only, not on the audio platform. And look, down the road, we might potentially have a big announcement about that.
Well, there's so many ways to look. You got if you're a YouTube member, you get it on the YouTube Music platform. You showed me how to put the RSS feed from the Apple platform. I mean, from the Patreon into your Apple and still get it early there. It's so easy. And kudos on such a wonderful interview. I learned so much about the inner workings of AEW and the Nightmare Factory and all the good stuff QT is doing. It was awesome.
Yeah, look, you pointed out to me, I guess, that we're our harshest critics for a lot of reasons.
Yes.
If I've got some positive feedback from the Patreon members who got it early, even QT said he had fun. It was. So look, if everybody else likes it, that's great. I could probably make a perfect episode of something, and I'm still going to tell you everything I don't like about it. But that's just kind of the way I work, I guess.
Yeah. I've been doing sound checks with you for almost 8 years now. It'll be 5 days short of 8 years.
Yeah, it does happen, and that's and look, I get it. It's the running joke of even as basic as I think our episodes look. Half the time I look at other people doing them and I'm like, I think this is basic, the look that we have in the format for our, just the audio visual look of it.
Yes.
And I go to other people's and I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just beating myself up over it because we're better than a lot of them. And, and I just still don't like it on a given basis. So that's just me. But look.
Yeah, you can't get any resolution too good on the two of us, Nick. We're too ugly to go to 4K.
Maybe I was thinking about 4K cameras, man. What are you talking about? So we'll see. But look, there's got to be something like we try to make it for everybody. We hope that QT interview. Well, let me back up. It was originally going to be just a regular style interview, but we put out there about submission questions. We had look, I was amazed at the number of questions we got. We literally did not get through half of them that I was sent. I tried to structure them in a way that we could kind of tell the story from Nightmare to AEW to Turnbuckle, and I didn't get through half of the questions still. Literally trying to do, I was just trying to be respectful of his time, so it went a little bit over an hour. And guess what, folks? I think we're going to do it again. So it'll probably another one down the road. So if you've got questions for the next one for QT Marshall, tappedoutpod@gmail.com. You know how it works, folks. But look, talking about trying to get a little bit something for everybody, man.
Oh, yeah.
This past weekend, Fanatics Fest, I guess is what they call it, big event in New York.
Mm-hmm.
Some comments. We're going to get into a few things that happened there because it was kind of interesting. Several things that happened.
Photo Op City. How could you look better?
Yeah, wow. Well, let's start out of order because the thing I wanted to talk about we'll come back to is probably a good way to end it, but was it Fox News, I believe, is the one that put that article or the post out about My favorite football player of all time, Barry Sanders, was there. They were listing all the people that were there from the sports
Oh, yeah.
world. Kevin Durant was there, on and on and on. But the only group of talents that completely sold out their meet and greets, photo ops, or whatever was the WWE guys. Like, how crazy is that?
They were pushing that on every show. They have been pushing that fan fest for a while. They know how to market to their audience.
So let me ask you that, because I brought that up and I was talking about it with my wife, and she actually pointed that out. She goes, how could they not? Every week when you're watching Smackdown or Raw or whatever, like, it's in that little bottom thing. They were plugging it and plugging it and plugging it. And I was like, am I that so, like, entranced in watching the shows that I kind of guess in hindsight, I was like, oh, yeah, you're right, it was.
Oh, yeah.
But she was like, do you think that the people, whomever they were, that brought Barry Sanders in or Kevin Durant, she's like, how are they promoting it? Here's what it is. You know what it is?
What's that?
Gary Lamb, take your notes here because I've been listening. Do you know the logic of, he always talks about, if you think you've marketed or promoted something enough, you need to promote more?
Yeah.
I wonder if the Barry Sanders, whoever brought him in, not Barry Sanders, whoever brought Kevin Durant in, whatever, did they just think the name alone was going to draw, and it didn't? Whereas WWE knows, like, because they're used to doing it for PLEs and for the next Raw and the next Smackdown, whatever, that they just pounded it week in and week out. They beat you over the head with, and that people were just like, I'm in.
Triple H is hitting on everything that Vince did right. Currently, nothing Vince did wrong, apparently, and he's taken it to an entire new level. He's got these people, Nick Khan, and these people from all these different sports that figured this stuff out, and they're marketing it, and they're putting it together. And what was the phrase that he spoke about, Nick? Who are they generating this content for?
This was a key point that I really thought was very interesting to the pro wrestling world and not just the WWE universe. They pointed out that they are creating content for fans from the age of 6 to 60. It's probably more than that. That just sounds catchy, right? 6 to 60.
I've only got 9 years left.
Yeah, it's probably like, way. I mean, they're trying to hit it all. And the reason I thought that was so, his point was, if you focus your thing on an audience, like a specific, let's call it 18 to 34, if that's your focus group, and that's literally you're targeting your product for it.
People with few friends.
With a couple friends, maybe one or two. Are you limiting the audience, and that's costing you money? Like, and here's, okay, first question. Is that AEW's Achilles heel right now? Are they so focused on, they're trying to get a product that's so focused on the certain group of people that they're losing out on a casual fan or a younger fan? I can't imagine. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And I'm the first one to tell you. I don't know too many fans on a week-to-week basis. Now, the WWE's getting a little edgy. I get it too. But I don't know how many 8-year-old fans of AEW there are. Because I don't think it's geared for, I think they are geared for it would probably be 18 to 45 instead of 34, but that show's geared to 18 to 34. And by the way, it's geared to wrestling fans.
Yeah.
Pause. Be very careful if you're an indie promotion, because I understand that it is, there's like, oh, it's an untapped market or whatever. It might be untapped for a reason.
Yeah, the road less traveled is sometimes less traveled
for a reason. You need to broaden out and try to capture as many, there's a reason typically fan-friendly, family-friendly shows draw bigger houses, because 50 or 45-year-old dad can bring 8-year-old son or whatever. or grandma, grandpa, mom and dad, and the kids can come.
The wife wants to go do something. The dad has to occupy the kids. Take them to wrestling.
Right.
It's a good night out. I mean, when my kids were, we've been doing this for 8 years. My kid was 13. My oldest kid was 15. They just come to wrestling with us because, they just need to get out of the house or go do something. And I couldn't just leave them at home because they'd burn the place down. So I'd take them to wrestling. And there were shows I'd take them to because I knew they were cool. You take them to Southern Fried, they generate a good family-friendly Southern style wrestling show. I knew it was safe to take them there. That's what WWE is doing. They're giving you a program. They're giving you wrestling talent you see in the movies. They're giving you name recognition. Yeah. They're making this appealing outside of wrestling, and that's what's drawing people's eyes.
And if you don't believe it, there was an announcement made. It was done really cool on social media where I don't know what his position was with Fanatics was. It was like a top guy, whatever his I don't know. I don't remember what his position was. But he goes up to Cody Rhodes and announces to Cody Rhodes is the number one merch mover at Fanatics, who now, by the way, handles WWE's merch. That's kind of the why it's so important. So you mean to tell me your most family-friendly, young to old wrestler is the guy that's selling the most merch right now? By the way, I beg to argue that when Roman's back in a groove like with that's going to probably become a little more competition.
Well, he's a babyface now.
Understatement. Yeah, I potentially think they have got to, when Netflix especially comes, they've got to figure out a way to separate those two and keep them away from each other.
Oh yeah.
So one doesn't hurt the other, and one's got to go to Raw, one's got to be on SmackDown, and that's just my take, for now. But
I got a quick question for you, Nick. If speaking of Raw and SmackDown, who's replacing Pat McAfee on Raw?
You would ask me. I
They
made an announcement. Yeah, they made an announcement.
But Cole is going to SmackDown. I don't remember, but what are we going to do without Pat?
We'll miss him.
I love Pat.
I think Pat McAfee, here's the thing. We have some friends of ours who I won't name who are not big Pat McAfee fans. They're like, oh, he's too over the top, blah, 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 whatever. And he's trying to be too hip. He's trying to, whatever. Whatever reasons they don't. I get it. There are things that I'm very similar to get off my lawn as well. But my entertainment, especially my sports entertainment, I am not that guy. Pat McAfee, God bless him, energized, I think, both commentary teams, and I'll tell you how.
Oh yeah.
Michael Cole, I know, went from being, oh my God, everybody hated him, to now he's so beloved across. You know why? Because Pat McAfee, two things, by the way, I think saved Michael Cole's long-term image. One, the exit of Vince McMahon.
Yes.
Because that let Michael Cole be more Michael Cole. But Pat McAfee pushed the energy that Michael Cole, because listen, here's the thing with Pat McAfee. I watch his YouTube show a lot.
Oh, it's really good.
If you don't up your game when it comes to energy level, you'll be swallowed up and surpassed by the, everything that is Pat McAfee. Yeah. And so when he took that with Cole and raised his energy level, the other show had to do the same thing.
Oh yeah.
Or you're completely just considered you're the second tier commentary team by far.
Yeah.
I think they did put it out there, and I'll look it up. I can't remember off the top of my head like how they're going to restructure them. But I'm sure it'll be,
I've really started to enjoy Corey Graves.
Very, very underrated.
I never thought I would, but I really but he's no Pat, and I know. I mean, he's got to do the whole football season. But he'll be back for Netflix, right?
Yeah, they announced that he will be back for Netflix. That Michael Cole said those exact words. College football will still kind of be going, but it'll be like playoffs and playoffs and bowl season, but they'll still, but he'll be doing some stuff, but it won't be every Saturday game day. Which, by the way, in my opinion, he raised the bar for game day.
Yeah.
Here's why I'm a fan. He raised the bar for WWE commentary. He raised the bar for game day, and he raised the bar for midday sports shows. That's why I'm a fan of Pat McAfee. It's not much more difficult than that.
Well, would you say he's today's Jerry Lawler on commentary? Is he?
Listen, blasphemy. I'm actually more like his style than I did Jerry Lawler's. I think Jerry Lawler was a great fit for Jim Ross, but I think Pat McAfee's the perfect fit for Michael Cole.
Reasonable, yeah. I can't argue with you. And he's going to be there, and he's going to come back right before the first of the year. Or at the first year
I think his return will be the first Netflix episode.
So at the end of the year, around Christmas time, we've got some stories going on, stories coming out. AEW is running a pay-per-view in Orlando, 3 days after Christmas, and now people are bashing the WWE for running a house show in Orlando, which is where the Performance Center is, where they run NXT every week. I don't see anything. They always run a Christmas house show run, don't they? Especially in Florida.
But the Christmas one's usually the Garden, like around that time period. So that would put you up in the Northeast, not the Southeast.
Well, they got plenty of people to run 2 tours.
They do, but I don't think they are. I mean, so I just think they're running ones now. I don't think they're running 2. Look, at the end of the day, I know we were discussing this, and it was basically, let's get to the crux of the question, right? This isn't a question episode. This was literally, Myron from Suwanee wanted to know, was it a dick move that WWE's running the show in Orlando the same night as AEW's running the World's End pay-per-view? By the way, the night in question, Saturday, December 28th. By the way, I did a little digging. They're about 15 miles apart, but because it is Orlando and the traffic, etc. I did it this morning, just randomly before we recorded. I put the 2 in on Apple Maps, and it said they were literally 39 minutes apart. So 40 minutes, let's call it. So I'm guessing that's a traffic thing, kind of like Orlando.
City miles. Yeah.
Yeah. It was probably slowed through the traffic, whatever.
Yeah.
Now, in all fairness, by the way, you got to play devil's advocate here. AEW announced this in April. That card was, hey, they knew. So WWE did know. Let's not kid ourselves. And so by the way, the only reason the story breaks is because they ran Smackdown there. What was it? August 16th. So yeah, that's
when they announced it. That's when they announced they were going to come back.
Well, that's what they typically do at the end of the show. They say, "Hey, we'll be back this night," and it's lots of times it's whenever they kind of make the announcement. But you can go ahead and, by the way, when you're on your way out, you can purchase your tickets for that event. That's typically how, when we've gone to events, that's what they do. By the way, that's what they all do. They announce when they're going to be back, typically, if they know, and they give, by the way, that SmackDown drew 13,796 approximately, and I say that because that was the last post at WrestleTix. I don't use the numbers that AEW says on TV or WWE says on TV. None of that. I try to go by tickets distributed on WrestleTix. That's usually a better number.
That's the best source I've found so far. I agree with you.
If you're a nerd about ticket sales and all that kind of stuff, WrestleTix on Twitter absolutely is a must follow. I guess at the end of the day, let's ask the more in question. Pause. I'll save that for the end. I don't think it's going to affect AEW buy rates at all. And here's why.
No.
Their fan that was going to listen, it's not even a top tier pay-per-view. So if they were going to buy World's End, they're still going to follow World's End.
Well, it doesn't matter. You can't see this WWE show on TV anyway. You can't buy this WWE show. This is for people in Orlando. This is a house show. Okay? This is a second tier thing. You're going to want to go to your AEW show. If you can't afford to, there's a WWE house show. And God knows how much those tickets are going to cost.
You know what, though? I'm curious. We should have done this. we should have looked at what the ticket prices were for both shows, because I might argue it might be closer than you think. Like
Expand on that.
So I don't know that I can sit here and do it how fast I can do it, but let me see if I believe I still have Ticketmaster on my phone, which I do. I knew I did. Sorry, I should be like. So let's on air. This is obviously one of the greatest podcast things of all times, right?
We prepare extensively. I don't know how this one got past us, but I mean, it's a house show up against a big pay-per-view, and its buy rates won't be affected at all. Ticket sales minorly. I can't see this being AEW fans are AEW fans, WWE fans are WWE fans.
Right.
I would think that AEW fans would look at this as a horrible compromise. It's like, no, we have wrestling at home. That would be what AEW fans would think about getting WWE house show tickets instead of PLE tickets. And if anything is, it's competition. What the hell? Are you going to get mad if somebody runs across from you? What is this, the territory days? Are you one of the Poffos? Okay. Are you a Goulas or a Poffo or whatever the no, it wasn't the Jarretts. What are the Jarrett and some Poffos? Am I getting this wrong? Don't make me tell that horrible story we heard about Lanny Poffo that time. But I just don't think this is a big deal, Nick. I think it's business, and I don't even think it's going to impact it at all.
The pre-sale's happening now for the Orlando show, so but I'm sure they'll give me the ticket prices, probably what the ranges are. It looks like $70 for section 110.
That's low on the floor. Right?
That's the bowl. That's not the floor, but that's the lower bowl of whatever, right? So that's that. So now let's. By the way, this is great podcasting. But I've got to know. I have to know.
I always go back to Lenny Paffo's wiener story whenever.
No. So, and this is the thing, man. Sometimes it's just you can't even see. Like, I can't even buy tickets to this. The tickets are cut off for AEW. So anyway, I would beg to argue at $70 for the lower bowl. I'm guessing that the tickets aren't probably any cheaper for World's End for the pay-per-view. I could be wrong, by the way. I'm prefacing that. But I think you nailed it. I don't know that an AEW fan was going to go to, unless it's $150 for, the World's End tickets. They might go, all right, man, for that I can take more people to the. I just don't think they cross over as much as people think, especially when we're talking.
And do you really think WWE is going to put on a massive card to try to draw people away? Yeah. No.
And here's the thing. Let me back up. I think that answer is yes and no. What I mean by yes and no is I think you're going to see, because Cody Rhodes works all the house shows. This isn't the Roman Reigns era when he wasn't working house shows. So Cody Rhodes is going to be there. I think all of your champions now they're all got, because look, Logan Paul's not the U.S. champion anymore. LA Knight's going to be there.
Oh, he's defending all the time now.
So point being, I don't think they're not going to go out of their way to go, hey, we're going to make a loaded card to compete. I just think the card is competitive. Because everybody's participating. Huh?
What night of the week is that on?
It's a Saturday.
That's no big deal. I mean, there's plenty of people in Orlando. I don't think I'll have a problem.
Yeah. No. And by the way, it's super cheap to fly in Orlando if you're not familiar, especially on Spirit. Wink, wink. So let's move it on, because we're going to run long here if we don't be careful. Was it a dick move?
Need some energy. Oh yeah, no, I don't think it was a dick move. Yeah, if it is, it's business.
Look, there's a difference between was it a dick move and I understand. I think it just happens. I mean, and it's not the first time anybody's ever done it for sure. So, whatever.
Black Saturday, or wasn't that one of them?
I mean, there's a bunch of them. I mean, look for crying out loud. For a little while there, they were on NXT and Dynamite were on the same night on Wednesdays. They weren't in the same town, but they were on TV every single week. Yeah. So I think. By the way, before we move, and we're going to get there, I promise. How cool would it be if both shows do well?
Yeah. I mean, I want both. I want both companies to prosper.
Yeah.
People think I shit on AEW. I really want them to do well because we need both shows.
Yeah.
Wrestling has gotten better since we've had AEW, folks.
Right.
Think about it. It's gotten better.
It's gotten energized.
Yes.
And if you need energy, Myron, where do you tell people to go?
I'd go get me some Dubby.
That's right, man. Head on over to w.gg. Get your, look, they've got all of their, here's the thing, Myron. They've been around since April 2021. There is 0 sugars, no artificial flavors, colors, secret formulas, hidden ingredients. It's gluten-free. So none of that crazy stuff. By the way, what's your favorite thing about it, Myron, about saving money?
It is dirt cheap, Nick. I can get one of my W drinks for $1. I ain't going in no gas station and paying like $10 for a Monster or something like that. I just mix me this up at home, put it in my little jug, and take it with me wherever I go. We show up at a show, I'm ready to go, Nick. No jitters, nothing like that. And I love that Dragonade, man. That stuff's tasty.
And that's the cool thing about their flavors, man, which are a little bit different than all of the competitors out there. They're all unique. They're custom made. And so they don't taste like the other drinks that you get out there. And by the way, it's made right here in the USA. And like Myron said, look, get the powder, make it yourself. It comes down to about $1 a drink, roughly. So it's a whole lot cheaper than all the canned stuff out there. So go to w.gg and use the promo code TappedOutPod to get 10% on your order today.
Good people, good stuff.
Absolutely. Well, man, listen, I tell you one of the other hot questions, and I think I'm probably getting to my limit on this Warner Brothers. Like, look, we talked a little bit about Warner Brothers Discovery, about the $9 billion oopsie that they had last week. Like, wait, we're $9 billion less than we thought, right? By the way, I also I didn't think it was a good thing. I didn't say it was a great thing. But this thing does happen. It does, it's that those shady bookings that these accounts, it's legal book accounting, accounting, whatever, but it does happen. But look, so now everybody, of course, went into doom and gloom about this whole Warner Brothers Discovery deal. Like, is it even going to get done? Look, last month, the deal, the exclusivity window that they had with Warner Brothers Discovery apparently ended. So everybody started thinking like, oh my goodness. Talks did come out that, look, they did talk a little bit in Paris. Tony Khan was over there. Zasloff was over there. So, talks happened, whatever. But my question to you, Myron, is Tony Khan, when that exclusive window ended, it put them in a good position. Most people are arguing, blah, blah, blah. But doesn't it put them in a good position? Because they're kind of like a free agent where they can kind of shop around. And, look, there's rumors that the deal, they do have an offer on the table from Warner Brothers Discovery. But now they can kind of look and go, well, if these people will pay us this, you can kind of find out what the true market is.
What happened the last time Warner Brothers Discovery lost exclusivity in a contract negotiation? They lost the NBA. I wouldn't be fooling around anymore, man. If you're going to sign somebody, if this is your last live sport, do they have any more live sports? I can't think of one.
Do they? I don't even know if they do baseball anymore. They probably do. I don't know. I don't even know.
I think at best they've got an NBA pregame show. So they've got to get this contract signed if they want to keep a live sport that was number 3 in their ratings. NBA, Big Bang, AEW. Is that correct? Still, was that what I was getting last time? If you want it, you're going to have to sign it. If somebody else want it, and the rumors floating around that it's twice what they're paying now. Do they need the content that bad? They're going to pay twice as much.
Well, I think we're in an age where it's kind of a thing that I joke about with a lot of people when they're like, oh, these companies are setting record profits. And I'm like, well, everything just costs more. Are they, no, seriously, I asked
No, you're right.
Is it record profits in dollars or percent?
Yeah.
That matters to me.
Yeah.
Because
they're charging more.
If everything costs more and but the percent's the same, dude, they're not really, because did they have to spend more to make the same amount of money? So what, God forbid, what if the percentage was less? Even though they made more money dollars wise, did they have
profit.
to spend? Yeah. What's
Your
your profit
was,
versus?
was
Yeah.
less or the same. And people don't look at stuff like that. And I argued last week they're not going to be able to do this deal. Warner Brothers, and you said they're going to be able to do this deal because they're going to write it off and then sell everything. So all this shady economics is back when it reminds me when I used to have to hide my liquor money from the wife. Okay. But they're doing this with a giant TV deal. I'm not following all of it. But if they want to keep their number 2 product now, I think they got to do this, Nick. They can't let this slip away. If they've lost exclusivity for real, which I've heard they've lost like 4 times from Dave Meltzer, who, if Dave Meltzer told any more lies, he'd be a politician.
Let me ask you this, Myron, because you're talking about it being their first, second, whatever. A lot of times, Big Bang Theory is the lead-in. It's not the prime time window. They generally, and not always, guys, so don't pump the brakes before you react. Most nights on Wednesdays, they win the night. Like, they're the highest on cable. Like, as far, it's like, hey, cable ratings, it's doom and gloom, but cable ratings are just that bad on a lot of nights. And they generally win the night a lot. So
we looked at that. We looked at that. Cable TV is not making money anymore. The WB was on their properties were making money on cable television. One of the few people with decent cable television profits, but they decided to sink their losses from their studios and their movie projects and their streaming into their TV to try to water it down. Now that's
by the way, is what they did to WCW. They did a lot of that.
Yeah, that's why I was watching the Who Killed WCW, and I'm like, oh God, this is scary. So, but there's no Ted Turner.
Correct.
Zasloff is no Ted Turner. I don't think nobody's going to argue for wrestling, but they need to keep it.
Well, and here's I know there was talk that, Tony Khan was really pushing the idea of attaching Ring of Honor kind of to the deal, like trying to, so if they do pull that off, like with this double, if they get double, here's by the way, the value created in saying, hey, we paid them double. You're just having to pay double for content in general now versus what you paid back then. By the way, is it double what the original deal was or the extension that they did a year or so ago? Remember that? So that's kind of like, I'm like, paying double to what?
Yeah.
But is it a value if you add Ring of Honor to the deal and maybe there's another night that Ring of Honor, by the way, did we talk about, I can't remember. Did we talk about Tony Khan mentioning that potentially rebranding Ring of Honor like as All Elite Wrestling's Ring of Honor or something like that, where they? No. And I'll explain why.
Yes, we may not have talked about it on air, but we've talked about it before.
Yeah, I like the concept just because if it's All Elite Wrestling's Ring of Honor or something like that or whatever, I know it's a long name, but he honestly believes there could be a fan base that has a disconnect, not realizing Ring of Honor is essentially a AEW brand.
Do it. If it'll help, do it. The best part about this deal I can see happening, if they can throw in your PLEs for something like Max.
Yeah.
If that works the way they have the Peacock deal or had the Peacock deal, you put your PLEs on Max.
Well, unfortunately, they're still called pay-per-views, so it would become a PLE.
But it would become a PLE. You put it on Max like WWE did, where I don't have to spend $60 every time you run one of these things. Make Max more valuable. That might help defer some of your stock, whatever. That might make you less.
If it makes it more valuable, right. Do you pick up, think about it this way, and it helps Max in the sense of there's a fan base that's paying, there's 100 to 130 for whatever thousand people buying pay-per-views every month, for AEW. If they find out, and I don't even know, by the way, I get Max for free because of my cell phone. I don't know.
Me too.
But I don't even know what it costs by itself now. $9.99, $12.99, whatever it costs. Same exact argument. If those 100 to 135,000 or people buying pay-per-views, I promise you would run over and quickly pay $12 or $14.99 a month for Max to get those pay-per-views every month versus paying $60, $50, $60 for them.
Bingo.
So.
And they've got a big one this weekend over there in London.
look, at this point, like, I know they can rattle off all these different pay-per-views, like the pecking orders. Clearly, All In is their WrestleMania now.
It's
got
got
to
a
be.
big card. It's got a really
It's a massive card. And before you ask, folks, we are not diving into every single match because Myron would be asleep by the time we got to the bottom of the card. So, but
I think we said before the show when we were working this out, the top 4 matches are going to be hard to sell Myron on any of them. The top 4.
Other than the top 4, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the rest of them are.
Let's real quick. We'll go back. We're going to go backwards from how we have it listed on the notes. Will Ospreay and MJF, they've done a fairly good job of building the story. MJF is back as your heel, maybe. I don't know that the fan base really. I mean, they're going to cheer him because they love him. So you might be ice skating uphill at this point.
Yeah.
It'll be arguably, potentially, one of MJF's best matches because he's in there with a guy like Will Ospreay who can push him in the ring.
It'll be a 5-6 star match. It'll be a good match. It'll be worth watching. That's what I can say about it. Yeah. They'll do a good job.
Let me ask you a question. This is a prediction. Is there any way they don't put this title on Will Ospreay in that ring, in that building? They have to, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think it's too soon, by the way, but I think that they probably will. That doesn't mean anything. I just, I'm like, Britt Baker versus Mercedes Moné. We started to have this conversation a little bit, and I'll let you start. Yeah.
Okay. I want to watch this because I'm the biggest Camille mark there is because we've known her since she was, where's that poster up there? She was at Roar in Atlanta, and she played football on that the women's football team that was in Atlanta. We know her parents, so I'm a huge Camille mark. Nice girl. But I was wanting to see this match because I don't think it's going to be a lot of wrestling. I think it will be working heel gimmicks and angles and Camille interfering. And you said they're going to wrestle because I don't think they're going to wrestle.
I think they're going to probably put on, let me back up. I think they're going to try to put on like a 5-star women's match. And I say that because Mercedes/Sasha has done those before in WWE when she faced Bayley and on and on and on. But we have come to the assumption, we could be totally incorrect, and it's just our opinions. You love how I throw that disclaimer in there. I'm not always right. There's going to be there's going to be a one day where I explain why I do this. I think Mercedes Moné needs a good dance partner to put on that kind of match. And I don't know that there's anybody better than Britt Baker in that situation in AEW right now. I think she's the woman who can, in that roster, that can get that match out of Mercedes Moné. So I think this is their opportunity to try and go for it. 4-star, 5-star, whatever.
So they're going to get Britt Baker, and they're going to pull a match out of her that they need to put her over. They're going to put all that money on the line, and they're going to depend on Britt to get the match that they've been paying for.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, I get it, folks. That's just my take. I think this is the best opportunity for you to, because here's the thing. If you get that 4-star, 5-star match or whatever, isn't it kind of a spot where Tony Khan can gloat a little bit to justify everything he did to get Mercedes Moné if she delivers? They need this, by the way. She needs this.
Yeah.
So,
I hope this turns out good for her. I hope this works out good for Camille. I think the whole Mercedes Moné thing has been a unmitigated disaster. So.
I hope Mercedes Moné gets turned on by Camille and Camille destroys her. There you go.
Yes.
Look, they're going to have some competition because here's the match I think potentially that could get all the emotion. They could get the win on the emotional spectrum. Toni Storm versus Mariah May. Look, how smart were they knowing they were going over there
Yep.
to put this match against, like put these two against each other. I think, by the way, technical wrestling, I think they try to attempt to win it with Mercedes and Britt. Here's my bold prediction for the show. That match doesn't get near the reaction this one does.
Slobber knocker.
Well, no, I just mean the fans are going to be so much more emotionally invested in this. This is the match that gets the reaction that Mercedes and Britt wish they get. Now, by the way, I hope I'm completely wrong, and I hope Britt and Mercedes do deliver. I need this match to deliver too. But just from an emotional standpoint, Toni Storm versus Mariah May, I think, is the big winner when it comes to the women matches on this card.
Well, Mariah May's from England, and I have missed this entire timeless gimmick. It's just kind of went right over.
I like it just because it's out there. It's different.
Yeah, it's different.
But look, it's the same with the Wyatt Six stuff. You're not a big fan of it. I like it because it's different. It stands out.
The Booty Man gimmick was different. The Zodiac gimmick, Oz was different. Yeah.
Well,
the Shockmaster
just because it's different doesn't mean it doesn't deliver. I think this delivers for what it's trying to do. But, of course, I think hands down the entire card at this point is being built around Swerve Strickland and Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson's working without a contract. They claim outright his contract is up, and he is not under contract anymore. So, clearly, he's probably making a per-appearance deal. He made the statement a while back that he's, that was the last contract he was ever going to sign full-time. Here's the thing. We are all just under the massive assumption Bryan Danielson is going to put Swerve Strickland over because that would do tremendous things for his career. And Bryan Danielson will walk away, retired. Look, he's talked about he may need a neck surgery by the end of this year. So he's got to walk away, right? Which is why everything screams they're going to let Bryan Danielson win this match and at least be the champion one time before he walks away. Sting won the tag team titles on his last match, and they relinquished them, obviously, and next thing you know, they did a tournament. Is there any way they allow Bryan Danielson to win this title, and he just hangs it up and walks away?
Well, everybody thinks he's the Jesus Christ of professional wrestling. He's the savior. I don't know.
Jeff Jarrett says he's absolutely the best in-ring storyteller in wrestling right now. So, I
trust Jeff.
Here's my thing. If I were a betting person, I'm going to lose all this, by the way. I think Tony Khan just feels like he owes it to Bryan Danielson to put that title on him at least one time. He did it with Sting. He did, as far as tag team and et cetera, they retired. And so that's just my take. Take it for what it is. But hey, All In. They're running the show this week, but it's also big news coming out this week. They announced All In is going to run in the United States next year in 2025, July 12th, by the way, not even in August, in July. By the way, kudos. Get the hell away from All Out, which is in the September. It's the Labor Day show, so at least they're putting a little bit of distance between them.
Not a bad idea.
The great debate was, what kind of risk are they taking doing this?
Stadium shows. Let's book all the stadium shows we have, and we're not doing great on tickets. Now, All In sold a lot of tickets, Nick. Yeah. Nearly 50,000. That's SummerSlam numbers right there. We went to the end on SummerSlam. They got right at the full capacity. This is right at 50,000, 53,000 for the full capacity. Yeah, this is their big thing. They're having it in England. They've had it how many times? That's great. But do they have stadium shows in America? Regular stadium shows in America left in them?
Well, look, they're talking about running a show in Australia potentially. They're talking about running maybe 3 other global shows. I think the London All In event shows that. And by the way, do you know what lets you know running shows internationally is a smart move? Clash at the Castle, Bash in Berlin, the Elimination Chamber was in, like the shows in Australia and France, these things are being shown that they can draw.
Yeah, definitely.
If you're struggling in the United States, Go run Europe. There was a company called TNA that did that at one point. They found out that, hey, we can make some money over in Europe, over in the UK specifically. But it's kind of contradicts. A lot of people are saying they're doing all these cost-cutting measures lately. Too many of them to name. But here's my argument. You're running this show. You got to run it somewhere. My question, is it more cost-effective, by the way, to run it in Texas? You don't have to haul all that crap over to the UK to set it up.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And by the way, I want to key point in something that we haven't talked about a ton. It's in Arlington, which is where they did the residency. Yeah. And who's to say it wasn't part of this package?
It could have been. And you're the first person that brought that up, and I didn't see that. I didn't think about that. And that would be a very viable option to sign a deal with a city like that. But when you're having trouble filling out that esports arena every time, are you really ready to jump to that big place where the Texas Rangers play?
Well, if it's your WrestleMania, I think the gamble is that they're taking the risk that it's going to sell like that event. If that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? I think they're saying, like, look, it's one thing to be doing, because look, the Arlington residency, that's Collision and Ring of Honor tapings, and it's not the same. It's not apples to apples. So running a mega event like All In, I think, will obviously be an easier draw. However, let's throw some numbers that are kind of you're going to have to make it special, because a couple years ago in 2021, you had something special. You ran Arthur Ashe. You ran your Grand Slam event. You drew 20,177. 2022, that fell to 13,800. 2022 and 23 were pretty similar years. 2023 was 11,000. It's a little bit of a drop, but I get it. 2024, you're running that venue again, and you have it set up for 4,800. And that, by the way, at the moment, last time I checked on WrestleTix, by the way, 3,600 roughly tickets sold so far.
Slammiversary sold more than that. Slammiversary was 4,000.
Yeah,
you're putting Slammiversary into Arthur Ashe. We may be we're not comparing apples and oranges, but the damn fruit carts fell over right now. Okay, you can't keep doing this. You can't keep having lower houses and then just announce you're going to try to fill up this giant stadium there when you're not filling up Arthur Ashe. Is this show they're going to put on? This better be the damn best show with the biggest card and the biggest names. This better be WrestleMania.
All right. And now listen, we got to be fair too. You're a year away. If you'd have asked us a year, well, not now, but think about, there was a time at WWE we would have said they were struggling, they weren't selling out buildings and blah 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 blah.
One day WrestleManias.
1 year clock. You're on the AEW. You are now on the clock. You've got 1 year to turn this thing around and fill that stadium. You cannot have downward momentum, while you're trying to put this on, because that right there, to me, that's going to be a mark of you're back, or you're in real. I think you're in trouble now. But if you put 10, 15,000 people in a 40, 50,000 seat arena, you're screwed.
I mean, you should be able to sell what you sell in London. Wouldn't you think that?
No.
You should be, in America, you should be able to sell the same amount of tickets you sell.
No.
Why?
Because AEW is in a position where you're running the United States, you're traveling around. You're going to have to draw WrestleMania draws international fans to WrestleMania because of the reputation of WrestleMania. All In, London is drawing because they rarely go there, period. Like, this is the one chance you get to see and I know they're running a live show, whatever. But in general, the rule of thumb is this is when AEW's here. So everybody in that region has to go to that show if they want to see AEW live. If you're running Phoenix, Arizona, you're running Oklahoma, you're running whatever, insert cities around Texas, like, what's the urgency to go? Like, I got to pay a top dollar to go see, money. I got to see, this big event, and the card is going to bold statement. All In has not reached the level of WrestleMania where WrestleMania sells. They're going to have to put on a card in the United. Yeah, All In is not selling, in my opinion. You're going to have to put something on that card. By the way, I'll be the first one to tell you that I'm wrong. If this turns out if they put the ticket sales out and they don't have a single card match announced and they sell 20, 30,000 tickets, I'm wrong. I'll tell you that. I just think they are still in a position where the reason it sells like it sells in London is that's your opportunity for that base to see AEW. That's not going to be the case here in Texas, because they could literally drive, a state, or Texas is huge. They run it, God knows how many times. Especially when you were in a residency a year before, for multiple weekends running, putting on your TV show. The card's going to have to draw. So I would build that card as fast as I potentially could.
Well, I'll tell you what, I hope they don't get hosed down by this whole thing.
No.
Because this could be a washout.
It completely could be, which brings you to our next segment, who is now officially sponsored. Our new Making the Drive segment is now officially sponsored by jmartinandcompany.com. That's right, man. Our friends over at jmartinandcompany.com, pressure washing, window cleaning, gutter cleaning, all your cleaning needs, whether they're commercial or residential, doesn't matter. J. Martin and Company, that's who you get a hold of, and they will take care of it for you. jmartinandcompany.com, or jump over there and find them on Facebook and shoot them a message. They will get you taken care of. Like I said, it's who we trust with our windows, gutters, the house, the driveway, everything. I always call Jamie at jmartinandcompany.com.
Yes.
Well, Myron, look, let's get into the new segment here that we do on a weekly basis, where we're telling everybody where you head out this weekend. It's kind of a light weekend this weekend for a change.
Yeah.
New Legacy Pro Friday down in Franklin. We're going to start Friday nights as
look. This looks like a really good card. There's a lot of good talent on this card.
Lots of good talents on I tell people all the time, you're going to get an opportunity to see Alexander Lev versus Nick Halen.
Yeah,
that'll be classic match there. But then there's going to be some. Look, Vari Morales is on the card. I always talk about how underappreciated and undervalued Vari Morales is.
And you don't see him wrestling in a lot of different places too.
No, this is one of the first times we haven't seen him in some of his key, like Turnbuckle, Monday Nightmares or Disruptor. He's got a core group of shows that he works. So if you especially down on that south, west side there, down in Franklin, head out and check out Vari. Aaron Dallas is on the card. Jaden Vane and AJ Black are on the card. And, look, you were singing the praises of Stevie Ray Frost this week.
Oh, yeah.
Another one that you'll be able to check out down there in New Legacy Pro this Friday in Franklin, Georgia.
Yep.
Friday, as usual, by the way, SCA Squared Circle Action is back up in Royston.
Yeah.
Like I said, we talk about it every week like clockwork. They're good running. Guy. Lots of great stuff going on. They're building to a big show September the 6th. Heath Slater's going to be there, man.
Oh, that's going to be cool.
He's going to be taking on Tower.
Man, I can't wait. I got to get up there and see Heath. He's always been somebody that's been a favorite of mine. Yeah, that's cool. I got to get up there, and they're going to be on. I got to find out more about this TV deal they're doing and sit there and talk to Feltner. That's pretty cool. But Deep South.
Hold on. I want to kudos. We're glad to see Feltner's back. He was on a little family break there. Had some difficult stuff on. I'm really happy that's a lot of that's taken care of, and glad to see him back. So shout out to
beautiful
Jonathan
daughter's
Feltner.
home from the hospital. Yeah. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah. Saturday and Sunday, kind of going to bleed over both days. There's a doubleheader down in Grant Park down in Atlanta. There's a festival going on down there, and Deep South has partnered with them. They're going to be putting on a tag team tournament apparently, Myron.
Oh, that looks like fun. That sounds like that would be fun. Hope it's a nice weekend. That would be good to go out and see all that.
Yeah, the couple times. I think it's like 12 o'clock and 4 o'clock. They're going to have matches on Saturdays and Sundays. Check out our friends at Deep South. By the way, kudos. Skrilla's back.
Skrilla is back. Oh, cool.
Guess who's back? Back again. Sorry. Skrilla's back. Got a thundering roar, when he returned. So kudos to Skrilla for making his return back there as well. Also on Saturday, Suwanee, just around the corner from us, man, right there at Monkey Wrench Brewing. Southern Violence makes this is their initial show. They're kind of their debut there at Monkey Wrench. Look, Terry Lawler, put him front and center on a poster in Gwinnett County around in. Smart move.
Yeah. The guy that got us involved in independent wrestling in Georgia, the nicest guy on the face of this earth, Terry Lawler. I need to talk to him. He's generating some great content. I want to ask him stuff about it. God Almighty, it's a great venue too.
Yeah,
The Monkey Wrench venue. Go by there and have a beer. I think they got liquor now too. I think they're making their own liquor. But Rico
cool.
will be on that. Rico Gonzalez, Dax Anthony, Northside Heroes. A lot of people like that. At Michael Solar fella, he's on a lot of cars lately. It's going to be good to see him. If I can get at this show, this is the one I'm going to be going to on Saturday.
Yeah, we had a death in the family. What I'm worried about is that the funeral probably will be on Saturday, so it may take me out of Saturday shows altogether. But if not, this is probably where we will end up, which leads us into Sunday. Our friends over at Action Wrestling, they're at Das Barbecue. They're back. I think this is their second go around there. I always tell everybody, look, put them on your list because Action never disappoints.
Nope.
They're always bringing. Yeah, I'm wondering if who's going to be there. That's the great. They've got their roster so loaded. You never know who's. I haven't seen the card yet, but it could the champion, one called Manders, be there? Could number one contender Bobby Flacco be there? Alex Kane, Suge D, Kevin Ryan.
Yep.
By the way, it's at a bar and it's an action show. I got an odds-on guess. Look, I didn't see the card, obviously, but if I had to guess, Matt Sells will probably show up at a bar on a Sunday, right? Barbecue place where he can get a beer.
Sells. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's, put it on your calendar, add it to your list. This Sunday, Das Barbecue in Atlanta, Action Wrestling will be there, which leads us into Monday.
This is something I'm excited about. Ooh.
Monday Nightmares right there in Athens at Southern Brewing Company. It's a great show to get out to, by the way. If you've not been to one, we have gone to one. We will be there. We discussed this on our Tapped In show. Jack Jameson cut a promo. I responded on that show, so I'm not going to do it again. It's real simple,
he must like me. I've never been bit by his promos. But again, I think, me and him are.
Just because you are both jacked, right?
You are both jacked, but
listen,
man, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah, he needs to focus a little bit and just win. I'm still consistent with my message, and that's okay. We'll see him in person. I told him on the other show, if he wins, I'll sing his praises, shake his hand, pat him on the back, anything. If he needs a hug, maybe that's what he needs. We'll see. Luke Sampson will be on that card as well, by the way, the double champ. He is your Nightmare Factory champion. He is your Wrestling at Southern champion. By the way, I know he's got another third belt too, so he's racking up some belts all over.
He's a hoss.
So check out Luke Sampson will be in action. Parker Lee, Warden, the Superstars, Jimmy Wild, Hyena Herrera. You never know. Look, Monday Nightmares, you never know. Look, Brady Booker could show up. I mean, there's tons of names that just show up on those cards, and it's always cool because, listen, at one of their shows they ran not too long ago, Satnam Singh was on the card.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I don't know if he'll be there this time because, this past weekend, Myron, he was wrestling at Triple Mania down in AAA, and Raj, I think is what he's, I can't pronounce the last name, but the artist formerly known as Jinder Mahal,
yes.
Satnam Singh captured the AAA tag team titles this past weekend at Triple Mania, so who knows? He's been there before. Maybe he will be again. Time will tell who shows up.
Yeah,
Billy Gunn shows up from time to time.
Oh,
you never ever know. So,
got that picture of me and Billy Gunn at that Turnbuckle show, and God Almighty, he dwarfed me like a child. But man, listen to you and QT talk about Mexico and talk about Triple Mania and him not being there and all that. And then I was on Conan's show and it was like he goes from Conan's show to you interviewing him. How whack is that, man? And Monday is our 8th anniversary.
That's the funny thing is that Monday Nightmares will be it's the 8th anniversary of the release of our first episode. So we're going to celebrate there at Wrestling at Southern in Southern Brewing Company in Athens. I might actually need a driver. I was like, I'll drive. Have a beer too.
I mean, I'll
Well,
drive if you trust
if
my
nothing
driving.
else, I'll get Heath maybe to meet us here. He can drive us up there. If we can use my car, he can just get me back here. He can get me back here in one piece. So
Damn
you never
epilepsy.
knows. Beer, cake, who knows, right? It's going to be our birthday. Monday Nightmares right there in Athens, Georgia. Southern Brewing Company. Come on out and check it out, guys. I promise you won't be disappointed. And we'll see. We'll see what's up after that. But I will probably do something special. If you guys get a couple beers in me, Myron, we'll head on over to YouTube maybe. Tappedoutpod.com. That's right, folks. It'll take you to our YouTube channel. Can't make it any easier for you. Tappedoutpod.com. Go over to our YouTube channel. Like the page, subscribe to the page, turn on your notifications. Hell, become a member and you'll get stuff early and often, the stuff that we're not putting out there. And look, for now, we are on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, iHeartMedia, all the podcast platforms. Subscribe while you still can. I don't know that I can be more subtle than I am trying to be. But look, we tell everybody, patreon.com/tappedoutpod. Tappedoutpod.com. Go to our YouTube channel, sign up, become a member. Because, and look, I'll probably do some directions. YouTube Music, you can directly play the podcast directly from there as well.
That is so easy, too.
Absolutely. So, look, it's going to be a great week. It was a great week this past week. We're going to have some fun this coming up weekend at some wrestling shows and celebrating the anniversary, man. So 8 years down, come on Monday. And so next week should be a good week for the shows. We're going to maybe celebrate a little bit.
Okay. Happy birthday to my daughter. She turns 21 today. We're recording this. Very happy about that. I got some fans. Trayvon, who has been ill. Wish best wishes to him. Best wishes on a speedy recovery for Luka Daniels. He's a bad apple, but he's getting himself put together and doing a lot of good content generation while he's down with some injuries. So y'all hang in there, folks, and enjoy wrestling again.
Do your best, man. Well, you got anything else before we get out of here?
I'm all done.
What's the old saying, brother? If I've got nothing and you've got nothing, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.